everybody, welcome to the Behind the Brick podcast. And today we are here with the one and only GrassoGuy. How's it going today, Grasso?
It's going. I'm the one on the GrassoGuy. What's up?
So, GrassoGuy, what inspired you to make your old Flash series?
Like all the way back when during season 1. It's definitely going way back. I think just at that time, and I think everybody can attest to it. It was a different time. Was whenever season 1 of the CW Flash show came out, it was a lot better than it's become. So that was a huge inspiration. And weirdly, even though it's not the greatest movie at all, the scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's I think it's Philip Phillips gone, and it's just Peter making a investigative board or something with his parents. That made me that clicked in my head. I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to have a scene with that with Barry in the Flash. And I never even made a scene like that, is the funny thing. But a culmination of those things is what sparked making a Lego Flash series, actually.
Oh, cool.
It's a weird story. I know. I'm aware.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Yeah. You never know what's going to lead from one thing to the next, because it was originally going to just be 5-6 episodes. And then it wound up becoming 10, and then becoming 3 seasons. It just, I don't know. Surprised myself, really.
Yeah, you never know where things will go.
Precisely.
Why did you quit making the live streams?
It's kind of a time issue. It was surprisingly very difficult to keep up with, to do every single night. And during that time I was getting ready to graduate, and now that I started work, especially couldn't see myself doing it. If I wasn't doing Lego stop motion anymore, then maybe I could see myself spending my nights. But it was definitely a decision of do I utilize these hours of the night animating, or do I utilize these hours of the night just gaming, which one obviously seems probably more fun than the other. But productivity wise, I was all right, let me put my best foot forward and just keep filming while I can.
Okay. CJ, you got any questions to ask?
Yeah. So, who's your favorite animator?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know, because I could say obviously like anybody else, I grew up probably my introduction to stop motion was Forest Fire and Keshin. But as for really old school Brickfilmers, I don't know if they're even going to be familiar names to anybody. Back in the day, there was this animator named Hutch Productions, and he had this Batman series that really inspired me. And I think it was M&M Twins. I'm not sure. Somebody like that had an Agent series that they deleted, and that was just awesome. And I remember buying all the Lego Agent sets, and there's a Space Police series too, and they're lost to the archives, never to be seen again. But those are also big inspirations to get into the brick filming community. And then just, of course, everybody that I've gotten to know, great friends. I know them personally by their names and stuff, but Paradox Pictures, Brick Ranger, Akash, of course. Yeah.
I guess that's inspired you to start.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I know it's a little bit of a cheap out because I didn't give one exact name, but it is hard for me to choose one person. I don't want to put one person above anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. What inspired you to start making your Spider-Man series that you've been doing recently?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really funny. I feel that surprised me as well, because it was after I finished Crisis, I was this is probably it. I'm not going to do anything anymore. But I think that was during like December or so, and I actually had the whole writer cabin situation going on, like this getaway, like cabin in the woods, snowy setting, and I was like, I can't pass up writing in this writer's setting, and I didn't have anything to write because I was like done. So I just busted out all my old comics, which was Spider-Man and Flash, and essentially wound up just having all these ideas that I wrote down on these Google documents. And I was like, am I doing this? Am I doing a series again? I guess I am. And that's just, it just kind of happened. And it's been really motivating, actually. I've been really, really enjoying working on Spider-Man, quite possibly more than I did working on Flash.
Where do you plan to go with like your Spider-Man series? Like, what is the overarching plot of the series?
Well, I do have about 20 episodes, give or take, completely planned in terms of stories that could happen. I wouldn't say it's serialized like my previous series. Like, there'll definitely be overarching things and stuff going on. Like, there's obviously set up for Eddie and Venom, and there will be for Green Goblin. But that's the thing too with the Spider-Man series is I wanted to go for a more episodic approach. So it's like you could just jump in at any time without having to watch the others, and it's like its own contained adventure each episode. But at the same time, if you are watching this series regularly, you'll be rewarded for it. Like something in the previous episode will be mentioned or brought up, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. So it's a win-win for each viewer.
Kind of like the old 80s cartoon.
Yeah, somewhat like that, yeah.
So how long did you were speaking about the Crisis event earlier? How long did it actually take for everyone to get on board for it?
Yeah, that was a tough one to put together because as with any collaborative project, it was just a matter of timing, and where like everybody was with their own universes and projects. Like there's unfortunately a lot of animators that were going to be in it and just weren't able to. Like Lincoln Pop was actually gonna have a cameo. So it was just a lot of networking, a lot of rewriting, and just figuring out who's gonna fit in. And I wanted it to as much as possible flow with an actual story. Like I didn't want to just have a glorified cameo for the sake of having it. Like I was like, how can I actually fit this narratively? So that definitely also took up a lot of time with rewrites in terms of like how much it was woven into the plot. So it took some time. I want to say it took maybe like 3 or 4 years, at the very least, definitely with just the people that I would usually speak with about these things. Yeah.
That's a lot of planning, but that was like a pretty long video, so I could see how that would work.
Yeah, it was a pretty big effort. I mean, I there's some things I still look back on that I'm like, I wish I had weirdly taken more time on it, but or like maybe split it up into parts or something, because there was a lot of things cut or just like, yeah, just not given as much as I would have liked to given attention to. But for what it is, it definitely came out pretty good. I'm like pretty happy with the success, at least in the collaborative aspect.
Weren't you originally going to make like an Injustice film or something like that?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that was the original end game for my universe, not even Crisis, because I always thought it was going to be so cool to have, after Barry snapped Thawne's neck, for him to like side with Superman in the sense of like, well, I killed my arch nemesis, so like, why does it matter? And
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a really fun narrative to tackle, at least for Flash. So that was my original plan. But then again, I was like, well, Crisis is the death of Flash, so that seemed like the better send off, and I didn't feel like I could really do Injustice and then Crisis without killing off most of the Justice League and then not having anybody there.
Yeah. What are your future plans for your new Flash series that you started with Bart becoming the Flash?
Yeah, I mean that one too. Like it's I don't want to say it's coming to a close. Like there's like about 2 episodes left. It's gonna be 5 episodes It's really just mostly adapting I think it was 17 issues, maybe 19. It's a very short run where Bart was Flash. That was actually like one of the comic stories that I read, and that's why I even bothered to pick up the series again, because it was so perfect. It was the Speed Force Ghost. It was like, I think it was like the death of Wally, but I was like, I could work with this with the death of Barry, and it just seemed like a perfect continuation. So where I'm going with it is the obvious of, you know, Bart filling the running shoes and taking the mantle. I think it's safe to say, because I did end on a cliffhanger in the last episode, of Inertia showing up. So that's happening. And that's about it. Like, I had thought about other plans, you know, if I wanted to do more with it. Like, something that I cut for sake of time and would have really liked to do was Bart in that comic becomes a CSI following in Barry's footsteps. And I thought that would have been cool, but I didn't really explore it, nor will I think I will. I feel like I'm rambling here, but that's the general consensus.
When I saw like the thumbnail for like when you first posted the trailer announcing the new Flash series, I saw Barry in the thumbnail. I honestly thought you were bringing Barry Allen back to life for like a revamp for like a new rebooted series.
Yeah, I could see the confusion there. Yeah, that might have been a bit of a troll, but
because he's like getting ready to run, sort of a thing.
Yeah, and it is called Rebirth.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was something I really wanted to be mindful and careful of, was not bringing Barry back. I mean, it definitely felt like I needed to do something, whether it be flashback, nightmares, or whatever it is.
Barry Allen, Force Ghost.
Yeah, but not like actually bring him back to life, because I didn't want to lessen the impact of his death, especially since it was so recent.
Yeah. If you did bring him back, you could do like a deceased sort of a thing. Zombie Barry Allen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who was it recently I talked to about doing like a Blackest Night storyline? I think it's Blackest Night. Maybe it was Darkest Night. It's like the Death Lanterns, where like people get resurrected.
Yeah, I think it was Blackest Night.
I think so, yeah. But that would obviously be very pricey to get all those figures, so probably not.
Yeah. You got anything to ask, CJ?
Yeah. So, what's your favorite video game?
That's a toughie. And I guess I never really gave it too much thought. I feel like the simplest of answers would be something like Minecraft or Roblox. just for the sake of like, it is one game, but it has so many other collective spin-offs in that game to give it that value. And it's also just like a childhood game. Like, who hasn't grown up playing Roblox and Minecraft?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever come across a person who hasn't played Roblox or have at least heard of it.
Yeah, it's a classic.
What are your future plans for your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't really guesstimate the time it's gonna take to make Spider-Man and everything. That's the plan. Is I will finish Flash, I will finish Spider-Man, and then that might be it. But I did think it was the end for me after Crisis, so you never know what I could do next.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Possibly move away from Legos, and I've been practicing drawing, trying to figure out 2D animation. Maybe that'll be the next step.
2D Flash film.
Something. If I could pull it off, that would be cool. I would just want it to look really good, and right now I'm like, I don't know if I could pull that off.
How long have you been making stop motions for?
Probably longer than I'd like to admit. Like, since I was maybe 12 years old, maybe 13. So, I don't know if it's like too late for me to try to do the math on that. Let me quickly. That's like 12 years. 12 plus 12. Is that right? Let me search this up. Yep, 12 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it is. I don't even know what to say about it. It's just, it took me a long while, because like when I first started, I didn't even know you were supposed to take pictures. I just video moded it, and then and it was like super grainy. I used like room lighting through the window when it was sunny, like the sun was out. I never used the lamp, so very, very long learning curve of just like discovering all these things of how to get rid of light flicker, that it's pictures, and to get a webcam and then a camera, just like any other animator's journey. Just mine was very much
because
longer.
you always got to start somewhere, not everything's going to be perfect the first time.
Yeah, and I think that's like the best part about it is I can tell people, like, I wasn't always where I'm at now, and it's not like I'm the greatest animator now either. I feel like I can still always learn. I'm like, don't know if I could ever get to such a level, especially set wise with some of these animators, but it's always funny. Just like overnight, Rad Visuals, like all of a sudden just like a huge leap, and I was like, wow, like I need to take whatever they're taking.
Yeah, there's always room for growth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
do
just
you have any advice for those who are new to brick filming?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing right there is take your time with it. Don't feel rushed. Don't compare yourself too much to others, because there's a difference between being inspired by somebody, like, oh, I'd really like to make animations like them, and there's like another thing of I don't know how to word it right, like idolizing them so much that you're kind of like too hard on yourself, because there's a lot of people like that are like, oh, I'll never be as good as them or whatever it is, and you'll surprise yourself. So take your time. Just practice makes perfect, as with anything. If you play a musical instrument, the more you play it, the more you play a video game. Some of us never get better at that, but whatever the case, the more that you do it, the more you're going to pick up. I really wish that I myself and other animators could kind of just over your shoulder guide you, but it's not really like that. I think each animator just kind of figures out themselves, like now, because like there's the concept of like ease in, ease out. I'm sure a lot of animators have heard of, and all these different animating techniques like that, but it really takes just the sleight of hand, like actually animating and doing it, that you just kind of ingrain that ability. You just kind of know, like, I'm moving the figure too much, I'm moving it too little, as opposed to like somebody telling you. Like
a sixth sense.
Yeah, sort of. It comes with experience and time. So like, I guess that's my advice, is just patience, which is like the most important thing a brick filmer can have. And you'll get there. And like, even where you're at now, I'm sure is really good. Like, I feel like looking back on my old animations and other old school animations, like, they're still super enjoyable. They're like, they have a very nice, fun, classic feel to them that it ages well.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
You got anything to add, CJ?
Yeah, I have another one. What's your favorite DC supervillain?
I feel this should be like super obvious. It's just like Eobard Thawne, because that guy is just like the funniest troll of a character in all existence. Yeah, how could you not love him? And I'm so glad that there's so many memes now that he's like getting appreciatedly known in that regard, because it's so accurate.
Yeah, they call Joker the ultimate repeat villain, but like Eobard Thawne is literally a living paradox, essentially.
Yeah.
He's the definition of repeat.
Yep. Live, die, repeat. I will say that that's something that kind of irked me a little bit in some of the recent comics. Like, there was always like, he would always return in the coolest way possible, and then literally the next issue die in the worst way possible. And I was just like, I'm done. I can't. Like, it was just too much.
He always shows up. It's just like, it was me, Barry. I
Mm.
spoiled your milk. Or just like the oddest thing like that.
Yeah, but it's always so cool because like he always does something. Like he I don't know. I don't want to like say anything that he does for the sake of like if somebody reads a comic and then they're like, oh, like this is what he was talking about. He'll just show up and do something insane, like kill somebody or like break somebody's bones, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like where did this come from? And then literally the next page, he dies somehow in the most ridiculous way too, by the way.
Gets hit by a car.
I'm not even joking. Like, yeah, basically like that. It's just tragic. It's tragic because I'm like, this character is so cool and petty. Yeah, and just how could you just off him like this again and again just because he's immortal?
If there's anything you could change about any of your videos, what would it be and why?
Well, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot of stories that I would redo. Obviously, I'd like to. Any Brickfilmer, I'm sure, would agree. Just like if they could somehow up their game and their animation and their sets and stuff, my lighting. But at the same time, like this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, even if some of them aren't the greatest, like I find some days where I look back or somebody brings it up to me, actually, they're like, oh, it was like watching one of your old videos. And then I'm just like, yeah, you know what? This is nice. Like I can appreciate the journey that I had. So weirdly, I probably wouldn't really change anything, or at least not very much, about that journey. If I were to like remake a video, you know, like the same episode of something to make it better, like I would do that maybe for one of them, but for what exists, I would just leave it.
So like kind of remaster it.
Yeah, exactly. It's because I'm like trying to think like what it is that I would remaster, and like there's not really anything coming to mind at the moment.
Who's your favorite Marvel character? I mean, like, I know you're making like a Spider-Man series, but like other than Spider-Man, who's your favorite Marvel character?
I was gonna say Spider-Man. This is like the easiest answer. Yeah, you know, I guess I'd have to say maybe Wolverine, actually. Just because like I also grew up on a good amount of Wolverine comics because my name is actually also Logan, and so the backstory of my name is I was named after Wolverine, and so I was like weirdly forced into liking Wolverine. But yeah, you know, Wolverine's cool, so you know, I'm not complaining.
CJ, got anything to add?
Yeah. What is your main source of inspiration when writing scripts?
It varies. I would say like it starts usually with a song. My biggest go-to for any superhero story actually is and it doesn't have to be Superman even, but it's like a song about Superman. It's like by Five for Fighting. And it's about Superman and just like despite all his powers, not being able to save everybody and being human, essentially, even despite, you know, obviously not being human. And I just always refer to that song in the sense of a superhero, you know, that despite their powers and everything, there's limits to them and emotions, and that's really important to try to focus and hone in on. So I kind of take that and I lead with that. And then I troll, and then I just start writing the dumbest jokes imaginable. And if somebody's not there to stop me, they make it into the final cut. And Mario Paradox Pictures can attest to that. Brandon Studios can attest to that. So yeah, it's a little bit of a jumbled process of like this super serious, dark, intense, like, oh, like, you know, I have the powers of a god, but I'm a human, and then just like fart joke here or something.
Do you ever plan on to like adapt the death of Gwen Stacy in your Spider-Man series if she ever shows up? Because you mentioned Green Goblin, so
Yeah, you know, like possibly, you know, it's a big thing. I won't lie that I've definitely thought about it. There's a lot of things like that I was like, how am I going to be able to adapt these iconic Spider-Man moments? So you could see something like that. I don't want to confirm or deny, but the odds are pretty good.
oh. What's your opinion on the Flash CW show?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, you know, like when it first started, I was on board with that. I was like so hyped. Every time there was a new episode, I would be like singing the theme song, running around the couch. And for those who might remember, I even made like theory videos back in the day. I was all about it. Obviously, production value and story value went downhill over time. I think it was either season 4 or 5, I think, where I eventually threw in the towel and I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. Like sometimes I get roped back in because they'd be like, I see a trailer, like a promo, and it's like Thawne is back, and I'm like, oh, okay, like you got me there. And so I'd watch the episode, I'd be reminded how bad it is, and I'd be like, never again. And then again, I would be roped back in, like, you know, like a abusive relationship. So long story short, like started as a fan, not so much as a fan in the end. I watched the finale, by the way, and that was laughably ridiculous. For those who watched the finale, you know exactly why.
Yeah, I heard like everything after season 4, from what I've heard from friends and just other people on the internet, it isn't as good as like the first 4 seasons.
It needs to be studied. It's like a completely different show. It's sad, actually. I can't even like joke about it. It's sad.
Wasn't there like a timeline change or something like that?
I don't know. Yeah, I swear, like I straight up stopped watching after like I think it was season 5, because I think season 4 was like DeVoe, and I was like really mad because of the way that they had the trial of the Flash set up, and his wedding was like immediately afterwards, and then he got the Flash ring afterwards, and I was like, why are you doing this backwards? Like, you could have got the Flash ring at the wedding. You could have done the comic accurate neck snapping at the wedding to lead in the trial of Flash. They fumbled the ball, even though they had all of the puzzle pieces right in front of them. And I think that was the last straw, what like made me just stop watching.
Is that where you got like what you did with your Flash series, the trial of the Flash, how there was the wedding and then the neck snap, and then the next episode was Trial of the Flash?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of always the plan, actually. Like, since maybe not season 1, probably like whenever I like actually decided to commit to a full series and started season 2 and season 3, that was always the plan. Like, the end goal is like, I need to get to this moment and adapt this story because it's just one of my favorite stories, at least. And I feel like I'm surprised that there wasn't too many people that were aware of it. I felt like it was like common knowledge, like the greatest Flash Barry Allen story alongside Crisis, in my opinion.
It is a pretty iconic moment where he snaps Thawne's neck.
Yeah, I
at
thought
his
so.
own wedding.
But there was a lot of people that were surprised, and some of them that thought that I came up with it, and I was like, no, this is a comic thing, you know. But hey,
GrassoGuy's just out here creating original Flash content.
some stuff, like Wally, like the whole thing with Selkirk and stuff. You know, I'm surprised I didn't get any backlash with that, because you know, a lot of people tend to like Wally more, but that was somewhat original.
Was Selkirk actually an original character, or is he from a comic?
So Selkirk in the comics was just a character who was like trapped in the Speed Force, and he was originally he wasn't going to be Wally, and then I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I made him like a mystery character, and I was going to make it like almost like Savitar from season 3, I guess, of Flash, where you wouldn't know who he was until some of the final episodes of season 3. But I got tired of waiting, and then I was just like, all right, whatever, we're just going to reveal this and jump straight to the point.
CJ, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so, what is your favorite comic book series?
Like present or just like in general?
Just in general.
Oh shit. Okay. I want to say like maybe Batman Earth 1. I really liked that. I really liked Volume 1, Volume 2. Volume 3 was okay, but like I feel like that was one that I was really excited about whenever they were publishing, and there wasn't very many comics that I had that I was able to read like that, where I'm like, oh, like I can't wait for like the next volume to drop. Usually it was like, yeah, I don't care, whenever, or they were already at my disposal and I would be binging them and then just kind of like lose the steam of whatever I felt. But nah, Earth 1, I was always excited. And I'm still waiting on Volume 4, by the way.
How long did it take you to film your Crisis on Infinite Earths video, like animation-wise? How long did it take? Just the raw animation.
Yeah, that took some time. I feel like at least a year. Weirdly, I feel like it wasn't as bad as Nightfall. Like, I don't know what it was about Crisis that I just kind of was like, whatever, screw it. And I jumped right into it, started animating. I think it was because I had like other Brickfilmers collaborating and helping. You know, I was like, okay, like they're animating stuff too, so I'm not alone in this. I think that spurred me on a bit. But with Nightfall, I was all alone on that. That was like procrastination. So yeah, about a year for like Crisis, I would say, and about a year for Nightfall.
That's a long time.
Oh yeah, and you can kind of see like some scenes are slightly different of others in terms of animation and set design, and just kind of like that gradual whatever.
Yeah, because that like the final fight between like the Anti-Monitor and the different heroes, like when Bruce in the Batman Beyond suit and Superman show up from like the different Earths and they fight the Anti-Monitor. That scene where like they're in the city and Flash is running through saving people. Wasn't that animated by like the Brick Ranger or something? Because that looks similar to his animation.
Yeah, that was. I mailed him my figures. I did that once. I did that for Nightfall too, Bane and Batman.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I remember telling him, like, I was like, you got to be careful because, like, this is, like, always the funniest story. I never let him live this down. The Batman belt on that figure was golden, and whenever I got it back, it was gone. I was like, what happened to the belt, man? And I guess he, like, rubbed it off with his thumb while animating. I was like, why you're so rough with the figures while animating? Like, what? So, like, you can see some scenes Batman has a gold belt and some scenes he doesn't. Like, I'm surprised nobody noticed or pointed it out. Now you and everybody else will because I said it, but that's just a funny story I like to bring up about that.
Imagine if it came back with a missing arm.
No, that would have been too much. That's too far.
Batman just has one arm in a scene.
I've had catastrophes like that happen, actually. Like, in the Craven episode, Craven's torso just like, I was animating, I just hear like this crack, and I was like, what? Like, the torso split in half. Like, luckily I only had like one other scene, so I like glued it back together, and like he made it barely through that scene. You could actually see, like, if you like look, you could see like the cracks in it, and it like the torso slowly starting to move in some scenes. Also, because like the glue stiffened the arm, like I was only able to animate one arm moving around. So like there's like a shot where he like swings with just one arm instead of like pulling the other back. Luckily, nobody noticed though, or if they did, they didn't say anything.
Go back frame by frame now.
Yeah, you'll probably know
Just
what
to see.
you'll probably
Just
notice
to see.
now. There's a lot of times like that with like certain figures that like the arms got way too loose or whatever it was, and I was like, please just make it through this scene. I'll never use it again. Just like, please.
You want to
So-
add anything, CJ?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say so about before when you were saying that you sent the minifigures off for Nightfall. I think I did notice in the fight with Bane. Did you animate like the first half of the fight and then the second half was animated by the
Oh yeah. So like there's a little bit of a fight between them, and then it cuts away to I think like Red Robin and Damien and stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever it cuts back, it's Austin's animation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that too. I was like, because I wanted it to be a lengthy fight. You know, I wanted it to have as much going on in it as possible, and I was just like, all right, let me give it some effort on my end here.
Why did you change Bane not breaking Batman's back in Nightfall?
Yeah. So yeah, that was the original plan. I think I just wanted to leave it open-ended for the sake of course, like, you know, the Batman Beyond suit, so he could use it in Crisis, but also just to kind of subvert expectations and just do something different with that, because like everybody was expecting the back break, but I wanted Batman to have his final triumphant moment, you know. So like he lost, but he didn't really lose, and it was relatively, the whole film was about that as well, of just like Batman's last hurrah, like him giving it his all, like fighting all of his rogues and just kind of proving himself in that moment.
Yeah, I remember in the I think it was a live premiere. In the live comments, everyone's saying, "Wait, what was going on here?"
yeah. It was definitely an unexpected thing, and I can always like blame my friends too. I feel like they're always like telling me things like, "Oh, like you can't do this directly from the comic because like that's what everybody's expecting," and I'm like, well, yeah, but like that's what makes it so cool. It's like you get to see it played out on screen with voices and stuff, and like no, like change it up. So I'm like peer pressured by people sometimes to change it.
Yeah, and it would be in your style as well.
Yeah, it has kind of become like my weird sense of storytelling, I guess, is just like breaking canon and just doing things that you wouldn't typically see in these stories. And I think that's also a good quality to have, because if it were just the same rinse and repeat, then maybe it wouldn't have that same value.
Better hope Miguel O'Hara doesn't find out you're breaking the canon. CJ, you got any more questions to ask?
Yeah, I actually have one more. What's your opinion on the state of current animated DC content?
Well, I'm excited about Caped Crusader, that's for sure. It seems pretty promising. Like, I like the art style. I like some of the ideas coming in. So we'll see. Hopefully it's good. My Adventures with Superman, I'm like 50-50 on, because like it's good, but they make weird decisions sometimes, and just we'll see. You know, like I'm watching it. I'm still enjoying it for what it is. I think that's about it. Like the movies and stuff aren't quite the same as what they once were, in my opinion. Again, they're not bad, but like they're not good either. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I could say that.
It kind of goes the same hand in hand for the live action too. It's just like what little things that they do have to offer, like I'm here for. Like I'm not gonna be like, no, like I'm not looking forward to this, but I'm wary of it at this point.
How does it feel like knowing you've had such a large impact on the brick filming community? Because a lot of people have been influenced by your Flash series, inspired by it to like make stop motions. How does it feel to know you've had like such a big influence on the brick filming community?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something special. It's it definitely motivates me. I'm like, wow, I didn't think that I'd be able to reach anybody in that sense, you know. So it's a feeling that's pretty undescribable. Like, you know, just to be like, wow, I was able to introduce these people to this and spur them on. And I kind of know that in the sense of animators and friends who've encouraged me and made me want to work on this stuff. So and I think that's a big part of it too. Is like it's weird, but it's also cool that getting to meet a lot of those people and just kind of know them one on one rather than just like being this whatever ominous figure that we don't know each other. And it's like, no, like we're all people here, you know, and like, you know, while I appreciate that you appreciate what I do, like, you know, I definitely want to just get to know these people and them not just be another subscriber number or whatever it is.
Just another number on the board.
Yeah, you know, it's not like that. I think that's what's really nice about not being too big and that number of margin of subscribers is like you can still like talk to people in the comments, still read them and kind of keep up with that and know who it is. Cause like there's a lot of people I'm like, oh, I remember them. Like, you know, they commented in the last video or like, let me check this person's channel out. And if I was like really, really like overloaded with comments that I couldn't able to do that anymore, like, while it's cool, obviously, like, you know, a lot of people want to have all those views and stuff, but
yeah,
I think it's also really important to be able to like to look at each of those people and be like, wow, like this is a real person. You know, if all of them were standing in a room, I'd love to like meet them, shake their hand, talk, and just I think that's pretty cool about it.
All right, then. It was really an honor to have you on here, GrassoGuy.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I was a little admittedly nervous. I was like, I don't know what I'm about to be asked. Like, you know, I gotta have practice questions beforehand or something. But thank you for not grilling me too much.
All right. Well, again, thanks for being on here. Have a good one, GrassoGuy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, y'all have a great night, and thanks again for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. All right, well that's it for today's episode. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Next time we will be having Crazy Lego Man on, so stay tuned for that. And have a marvelous day, everyone.